Bevan the barber mopped his brow. He scratched his beard, wiped his sweaty palms on his chubby belly, and he knocked on the door of the palace. Bevan had been summoned to the court of King March, and he was feeling pretty anxious about it. "Come on, Bevan, pull yourself together," he said. "Okay, so he's famously moody. Nobody in the kingdom has ever seen him smile, but that's okay. He's still the king. He's a good and just king. Oh, crikey." Just as Bevan was reassuring himself, the door creaked open. Standing there was a footman, a tall, thin footman. "Good evening, sir. We've been expecting you. Walk this way." The footman led Bevan down a long and lavishly decorated corridor. They came to what the footman described as the royal bedchamber. The footman knocked, and they entered. Bevan found himself in a small, dimly lit room with not much furniture. He was surprised when the footman bowed and backed out of the room, leaving Bevan alone. Just him and King March. "I'll get straight to the point, Bevan," said the king. "You have a reputation around the kingdom for being a kindly sort, and I hope you'll now extend that same kindness towards me." Bevan noticed 3 things about the king. First, he noticed that on the king's head was not a crown, but a sort of helmet, almost like a skull cap, that covered all of the king's head except for his face. Secondly, Bevan noticed the long, flowing blonde hair that stretched out from underneath the skull cap right down to the king's slippered feet. Thirdly, Bevan noticed the look on the king's face. Never before had Bevan seen so much sadness in the face of someone so young. "The time has come," said the king, "for me to get my hair cut. Only to do so, I must reveal my terrible secret. I must have your solemn oath, Bevan, that you will not share my secret with another living soul." "Of course, your majesty," said Bevan. "I won't tell anyone." "It would be better for you if you did not," snapped the king. "Because if you did tell anyone, I would be forced to cut your head off. And I have no desire to do that, Bevan. Do you understand me?" "Yes, your majesty," said Bevan. Then, to Bevan's surprise, the king reached up to his helmet and slowly took the helmet off his head. Bevan gasped. And then he coughed clumsily to try and cover up his surprise. "I see, your majesty. Well, let's get to work, shall we?" Bevan reached down to his barber's bag and retrieved his scissors and his comb. He set to work cutting the hair of the king, being very careful not to touch the 2 long, hairy, brown donkey's ears that extended from the side of the king's head. Have you ever had a secret that you were dying to tell, but you couldn't? A secret so big that it's like a balloon in your head, getting bigger and bigger and bigger and pushing out every other thought until all you can think about is that secret. That's what it was like for Bevan. All he could think about was those 2 big brown donkey's ears on the head of King March. Bevan couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't do his job at the barber shop. He was turning customers away. He began to lose weight. It got so bad that one day his wife sat him down and said to him, "Bevan, I can tell that you're worried about something. I can tell you've got a great weight on your mind. Tell me, share it with me. I'm your wife." Bevan wept. I can't. I want to tell you, but believe me, I can't tell anyone." "Well," said his wife, "you've got to share it with someone, or you'll burst. If you can't tell someone, then for heaven's sake, tell something." And that's just what Bevan did. He took himself to the most secluded spot he could think of. He went to a pond on the outskirts of the kingdom. He crouched down by the pond, looked around to check that nobody was there, stuck his face into a big pile of reeds and shouted at the top of his voice, "King March has donkey's ears!" He immediately felt better. He ran home to his wife, and for the first time in weeks, Bevan had a decent night's sleep. Time passed, and King March decided to throw himself a birthday party. Well, it was more for the benefit of his subjects, really. King March hated parties. He would have much preferred to spend his birthday the same way he spent every other day, moping about in his bedroom, feeling sorry for himself. But the whole kingdom was buzzing with excitement about the party. They couldn't wait. King March had even arranged for the most celebrated musician in the land to come and play at the palace. This was Enoch the piper. Enoch had to travel from the neighbouring kingdom, and he had decided to do so on foot. Enoch liked to wander through nature and draw inspiration for his music from the trees and the birds and the leaves and the berries. He stopped at a pond on the outskirts of the kingdom, and he did something he'd never done before. He crouched down, plucked some reeds from beside the pond, and made himself a brand new flute. Enoch didn't know why he chose to do this. It was just a passing whim. Little did he know, that passing whim was about to change everything. The party was in full swing. Everyone from the entire kingdom had come to the great hall of the palace. Even Bevan the barber was there. There was eating, laughing, and drinking, and loving, and dancing. Everyone was having a great time. Everyone except for King March. He sat on his throne at the back of the hall and gazed at his dancing subjects with a sullen look on his face. The time came for Enoch the piper to play. He took his place upon the stage. The spotlight fell on him, and everyone in the great hall was looking at him, waiting for his performance. Enoch the piper brought his brand new flute up to his lips and blew. To his surprise, there rang out from the flute not music, but words. "King March has donkey's ears!" A hush fell across the crowd. You could hear a pin drop. King March rose from his throne. "What did you say?" "Please, your majesty," said Enoch the piper, "it wasn't me, it was the flute." King March was livid. He strode onto the stage, snatched the flute from Enoch's trembling fingers, and brought it to his own lips. "Let me try it." Sure enough, King March blew, and there rang out not music, but once again, words. "King March has donkey's ears!" King March turned red with rage. "Whoever's responsible for this will lose their head." As all this was going on, Bevan was standing at the back of the hall. He had broken out into a cold sweat. And now he couldn't bear any more. He pushed his way to the front of the crowd and he threw himself onto his knees in front of King March. "Please, your majesty, please, don't blame Enoch the piper. It's not his fault. It was me. I couldn't bear the weight of your secret anymore, and so I shared it with the earth." King March looked down at the trembling form of Bevan the barber. His shoulders sagged. All the anger and rage drained from the body of March. "I can't execute these men for telling the truth," he said. He turned to face the crowd. To their surprise, he reached up, tore off his helmet and threw it across the room. Those two big, brown, hairy donkey ears stood revealed for the entire kingdom to see. King March closed his eyes and waited for the cruel, mocking laughter. To his surprise, a cheer rang out. "Hooray for King March! Hooray for King March! Hooray for King March!" King March was gobsmacked. What? Bevan the barber rose to his feet. "Your Majesty, if I may, you're the kind of king who throws lavish parties for his subjects, even though you clearly hate parties. You're the kind of king who will get the best musician in the whole land to travel to our kingdom to play for us. You're the kind of king who would never, ever execute two innocent men. You're a wise and just king, and we love you for it. We don't care what's under your helmet." King March began to do something that he had never done before in his life. He smiled. A great big beaming toothy smile that cracked across his entire face. "What's everyone standing around for?" he said. "It's a party!" King March continued to reign wisely and justly for the rest of his life, and he never wore his helmet again. Those two big brown hairy donkey's ears remained on display for everyone to see, because, as Bevan the barber said on the night of the party, "Better to have donkey's ears than to be thought a donkey's backside."